Go ahead and bring the August 4th, 2022 Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Clay Thomas,
Here.
Don Christensen,
Here.
Rob Pierce,
Here.
Brad Stanley,
Here.
Kathy Julian. Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Mr. Stanley, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Wow. Mr. Large, ethics law announcement, please.
Board members are reminded that with respect to any matter or any person coming before the board today, you've received a gift or a loan, you have a pecuniary interest, you have a commitment in a private capacity, such as a family, employment, business, or similar relationship, where you provided representation or counseling before an agency to a person or entity for compensation within the last year on a matter being considered. You must disclose that gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation at the time the matter is being considered. And you must furthermore abstain from deliberation or voting on the matter if it is clear that the gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation would materially affect the independence of judgment of a reasonable person. Board members are also reminded that under the Board of Adjustment rules, if you had contact outside this meeting with any person interested in the matter coming before the board today, you should disclose the nature of that contact at this meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Lloyd, appeal procedure, please.
Okay, most decisions rendered by the Board of Adjustment are appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. If you disagree with the decision of the Board of Adjustment and qualify as an aggrieved person or party, you may appeal in writing within 10 calendar days from the date that the decision being appealed is reduced to writing, filed with the Secretary of the Board of Adjustment, and mailed to the original applicant in the proceeding being appealed in accordance with Washoe County Code. Please call the planning staff immediately at 328-6100 for information on the appeal procedure and the application fee.
Thank you. Next is public comment. Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the agenda. However, action may not be taken on any matter raised during the public comment period until the matter is specifically listed on the agenda as an action item. Comments are to be made to the Board of Adjustment as a whole. Madam Secretary, do we have anyone wishing to speak at this time?
I have no public comment registered in chambers.
Thank you.
And I have no public comment via Zoom.
Thank you. Moving on, next agenda item is approval of the August 4th, 2022 agenda. I know it's extremely large, but
This is Rob for the record, so moved that we approve it.
okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Julian, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next is the approval of the July 7th, 2022 draft minutes. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
This is Rob for the record. I move that we approve the minutes as they stand.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Stanley. All in favor? Aye. Moving on, next item is administrative permit case number WAD MIN 22-0015, the Phillips Detached Structure. I believe we have staff that will make our presentation for us.
Hi, everyone. Kat Oakley with Washoe County Planning. It's nice to meet you all. The case before you today is an administrative permits for Phillips for a detached accessory structure that is larger than the primary residence. The subject property is located out in Red Rocks off of 15730 Dry Valley Road. You can see it's surrounded by lots of approximately the same size, which is 10 acres, more or less. It's located within the North Valleys area plan and is zoned low-density rural. Surrounding properties, like the subject property, are generally speaking developed with a single-family dwelling and, in many cases, one or more accessory structures. So this request specifically is for a 3,600 square foot accessory structure that will be used as a shop building, and that's in comparison to the 2,424 square foot main dwelling unit, and that's including the garage. You can see in the picture on this slide more or less what it's going to end up looking like. And then if we go to the site plan, you can see where it's going to be located, which is in that southeast corner of the property. The contour lines are on there, so you can see it's pretty flat. And if we zoom in here, it's located 100 feet from the two closest property lines. The structure is proposed to be constructed out of metal and to be about 18 feet tall, and there's no plumbing that is proposed at this time. Staff has recommended a condition to require the structure to be painted to match the single-family dwelling, which is actually a measure that applicant included in their application, and then have also added the requirement to have a non-reflective roof so as to mitigate any potential impacts on surrounding property owners. 12 agencies received this application for review. We heard back from a few of them, and you saw their memos in the staff report packet. 39 unique property owners within 2,000 feet were noticed, and I haven't received any public comment on the item at this time. Staff can make all 5 required findings for approval, and you can find the detailed responses to that on pages 7 and 8 of the staff report, but to just go over them briefly. The proposal is consistent with the master plan and the North Valley's area plan. There are adequate improvements and utilities to serve the structure. The site is suitable, like I said, it's pretty flat. There will be no detriment, and there was no military installation within the required noticing distance. Staff is therefore recommending approval with conditions. You've got a sample motion here. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Stanley.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Planner Oakley, did you have an opportunity to visit the area, visit the property?
I did.
Excellent. And did you, from your standpoint, and certainly from that presentation, very nice presentation, did you see anything that would imply to you that the site was suitable, or that would present to you that the site was suitable and there didn't seem to be any detriment to the surrounding community?
So the area in general, it's pretty flat. There's not a lot of vegetation. And then the lots in that area do have, in general, accessory structures. And the nearest residence, so it's 100 feet from the lot line, and the nearest residence is farther than that as well. So it will be visible like everything there is, but I discussed lighting with the applicant and the siding and considerations like that. There's nothing proposed that I think is going to be more intrusive onto surrounding property owners than what's already there and what's on most lots in the area. And so for those reasons, there was nothing that I saw that made me think there would be a particular detriment.
Thank you. So consistent with the area.
Yes, it is.
And there's a suggested condition here by one of the advising agencies about the color of the metal roof. Mm-hmm. Was that considered at all, or did that arrive after the?
Right. So, yeah, it was considered. I think the reason the non-reflective language is used is because the potential impacts from that on surrounding property owners and this was from the conservation district, so on wildlife in general, really can be much more significant if there is reflection. So in terms of coming at this from the perspective of mitigating impacts on those items, having it be non-reflective seemed to cover all the bases.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more questions for staff? Seeing none, thank you very much. Good presentation, it's appreciated. Madam Secretary, is the applicant present, and do they wish to speak on this matter?
The applicant representative is present. They do not have a presentation, but do have site plans if the board would like to see them.
Okay, I thank you for being present. I believe we've got the information that we need at this point in time. With that, Madam Secretary, is there any public wishing to address this matter?
I have no public comment registered in chambers.
And there is no public comment on Zoom as well.
Thank you very much. With that, we will go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to the board for discussion. Is there any discussion on this item? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
This is Rob for the record. I move that after given reasonable consideration of the information contained in the staff report of the information received during the public hearing, the Board of Adjustments approve administrative permit case WAD MIN 22-0015 for Dennis Phillips and Aaron Page with the conditions included in Exhibit A to this matter, having made all 5 findings in accordance with Washoe County Development Code Section 110.808.25, consistency, improvement, site suitability, issuance not detrimental, and no effect on the military installation.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Is there a second?
Don, for the record, I second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is chair and board items. First up is future agenda items. Does the board have anything on this part of the agenda? Okay, thank you. Second item will be requests for information from staff. And Mr. Lloyd, I do have something maybe you and staff can help me out with. What I would kind of like to see, I know it's been done in the past, and I do have a document up here that you and I looked at together about the number of cases that are denied by the Board of Adjustment, the number of those that get appealed to the Board of County Commissioners, and then ultimately the end result by the Board of County Commissioners of whether they sustain our position or they overturn our position. I was wondering 2 things. One, if we can go back a couple years or 2 to 3 years and see what we have, kind of so we get a fairly accurate snapshot. And then also maybe in the future, maybe starting every January or something, that could be something that can just be done, or at the end of the calendar year or fiscal year, we would just get that report automatically. It just kind of give us a guidance as to how we're doing, whether we're being effective or not. If that can be done, I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Stanley?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, in line with that request, I would find it personally helpful, and I believe the board would find it helpful, to, in the 2017 through 2019 version that I have shows the number sent in terms of denials from us and the numbers overturned. I would find it personally interesting, maybe everyone else would too, to know not what the vote was. I noticed, whether it was unanimous or 3-2 and that sort of thing. So we'd have some idea if we're not, if we could be redirected in some more productive way for everyone. The other thing that would be good is if the names could be associated, names of the commissioners could be associated with those. For an example, if we saw District 2 overturning, for an example, overturning each one, we might want to get with that commissioner and say, how can we deliver to you a better work product? What is it that's an issue? So if we knew who was voting to overturn, and what would be even better, but I think more difficult pitch for you, is a why. What is it that, and then there would be one other issue. Anybody got a list? One other issue, which is what percentage of those that were overturned were represented by counsel? My guess is that dog won't hunt, but it'll be a fun question.
Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Stanley. I'm sorry, Mr. Lloyd, did you want to respond to that?
Oh, no, just I was going to respond to Board Member Stanley. Yes, we can gather these records. The third request may be a little more challenging.
Which one is that?
That's if whether or not they're represented by counsel in these
It
matters.
would be a matter
But
of public record.
if it's public record, we will certainly add it. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Lloyd.
thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Lloyd or staff? Thank you. With that, we'll move on to Director's Legal Counsel items. Mr. Lloyd, report on previous Board of Adjustment items.
At this time, I have no items to report on.
Thank you, sir. Next is legal information and updates. Mr.
Nothing from
Lorch.
legal.
Thank you. With that, Madam Secretaries, is there any public comment at this time?
I have no public comment in chambers.
And there is no public comment via Zoom.
Thank you. With that, we're adjourned.